the founder of Mommy Clinic. I'm Temi Olajide. I'm a certified child psychologist, a certified child sleep and potty training consultant, and also a mommy success specialist as well. I just help moms position, their lives for success, be it in your life and, raising phenomenal children as well. And what we stand for in Mommy Clinic is we empower parents, most especially moms, to chase your dreams, achieve all you've aspired to be, and also raise well-rounded children. So we give you that psychological permission that yes, you can be a superstar in everything you dare to do and lay your hands to do, and also raise fantastic children. Welcome, Uche from England, UK. I know that flag. Thank you so much. So today, why this topic? Empowering yourself to raise confident and well-rounded children. So I speak with a lot of moms, and what I've observed is that we can't give what we do not have. And raising children in this world that we're in, the world that we're raising children now is, I don't know what is going to happen in the next 10, 20 years. But it takes a bit of intentionality to get the best from your children in the world that we're in. And before you can support your children to thrive in the world that we're in, you have to be empowered yourself. You have to unlearn and relearn, some, few things that which I would get into very, very soon. So, because if you do not know what is right or wrong, yes, we all say parenting does not come with a manual. Nothing comes with a manual, but we've all created a manual. So with your job, right, there's a manual. They will create, a working process, SOP, everything. Now, okay, this would help us achieve some level of progress in our jobs, right? And with marriages as well, they're creating some manuals, foundations that, if we can do this, we'll most likely be successful with it. So the same way with children, raising children, it does not come with a manual, but there are foundational rules that can help you thrive as a parent, that can help you raise the best version of your children in this day, in this age that we're in. And we know that the days that we were raised is totally different, except for maybe the Gen Z's moms. The Gen Z's moms, maybe they will understand, but we have very few Gen Z's moms. But in the next 5 years, we'll have so many Gen Z's moms as well. So maybe they can be able to understand that, okay, we understand we're digital children as well. But before then, what I've seen is that many moms, yes, we're trying to do our best, but we are not putting ourselves in our children's shoes to be able to understand the unique challenges that our children, they're facing, for us to be able to help and support our children. And that's why I said, I need to do this live so that we understand that to raise phenomenal children. Please feel free to share this, with your community, your friends, your followers, whatever it is. Send it, share it to as many moms, so that we know that parenting, we keep learning, we never stop learning, right? And the more we're open to learning, the more we're able to get the best from our children. And not, yes, you might choose to, like some people would say that they're winging stuff, but I'm always like, no, if you can't wing your business, if you cannot wing your career, if you cannot wing your marriage, then why would you want to wing raising children that it's your a blessing? God has given you that responsibility that, come on, this child that I've given to you, please just try your best to bring out the best in this child, right? So I'm not of the opinion that you wing parenting because you don't want to wing you don't want to wing your health. We're all taking our health seriously. So why is it that when it comes to children, delicate lives, we now want to say, whatever it is, I cannot kill myself, I will do what I can do? No. The way you're learning to be better in every aspect of your life, then you have to learn to be a better parent to your children in this digital age that we're in. And why do we have to be very deliberate? I'll give you a story. I'll share a story for you to be able to understand why you have to be very intentional and present in the world that we're in now. So it's not about forcing your children to do stuff. If you force them to do it now, you can't force them to do it in the future. Like some of us that were forced to do stuff when we were children, now you're not listening to your parents again because they can't force you to do stuff, right? Please let's engage in the comments. If you're understanding what I'm saying, say we got you, Tammy, got you, I got you. So if you're understanding what I'm saying, just put it there, got you. So if you have questions, please also feel free to, ask your questions on this live as well. I will take time to respond to your questions as soon as we're done with the live. So as I was saying, so I will come with my story. So the story is, the days that we were raised, I always say it's like we were raised with walls. Like let's say you're an estate. So you have like an estate that has like walls. Right, so that was how we were raised. So most likely, when you are in an estate, right, that there's an exit door, gate, and there's an entrance, or even if it's the same gate that is entrance and the exit. But so if you let your children, so maybe you would say, children that live in an estate, you'd most likely say, oh, you can play outside, you can do whatever you want to do, because you are that, okay, with this child, if I allow my child to go out, that child, by the time the child gets to the gate, right, they'll most likely say, where are you going? Whose child are you? You need to turn back. No, you can't pass this gate, right? That was the days that we were raised. We were raised with walls. There were gates. There were so many things that were protecting us, right? So that means the information we did not have, there was no access to internet or whatever it is. Those days, we had our parents were our source of information. Your parents, your schools, your churches, and your mosque were what was giving us information. And anything they tell us to do at that time, we say, okay, it's true. Like some of us that, maybe your parents, your mom told you that if a man touches you, you will get pregnant. If a man kisses you like this, something will come upon you. So, but, you can't tell a 3-year-old now that if someone touches you, you would get pregnant. And that's why you have to change how you go about parenting and raising, your children. So now the world that we're raising our children now, it has no walls. There are no walls. There's no entrance. There's no exit. If your children, if they have access to the internet, and if you're saying, oh, my child is just 1 year old, he's just 2 years old, they will get to 3 and 4 soon. They would have access to internet, right? So we all have access, right? To at least majority have access to internet, or will have access to internet subsequently. So now the information you are giving your children. So if you do not give your children those information, they're going to go out there and get the information. And even if they're not going out there, if they go to school, their classmates and their friends, they have access to those information as well. And they would say, where did you hear that one from? That's just a lie. Your mom is lying, your dad is lying. That's not true. So now your children have access to the global world, right? So because they have access to the global world, you have to now start to be very intentional as to how you support your children. So those days when we were raised, our parents can sit pretty and say, oh, my child will be fine. At least by the time the child gets to the gate, they would send the child back. Now you cannot sit pretty. You have to be very intentional. You have to be there, to be present, to be able to understand, oh, my child is having anxiety issues. My child is having confidence issue. Oh, my child is having these challenges. Oh, who is bullying my child? Because now, when the child has walked, there's no gate now. There's no walls, nothing. It's not an estate any longer. It's an unlimited world. So there's nobody to tell your child that, oh, you need to turn back. Nobody's going to tell your child to turn back, because it's your responsibility now to be aware and to be present, to be able to guide your children to say, no, you need to turn left. If you get to this place, there's no entrance there. There's no exit there. And that's why you have to be very aware and understand that in the world that we're raising our children now, you as a parent, you need to be very intentional and deliberate and present. Right? So don't say, oh, coming to my first point, many of us are raising children the way we were raised. Oh, my daddy raised me like that, I turned out fine. My mommy raised me like that, I turned out fine. Are you fine? Are you fine? So when people are saying fine, you're always saying fine because maybe you're successful, you have a great job, a great career, you have a great business, a great marriage or something, right? But many of us were dealing with, childhood traumas. We're dealing with a lot of confidence issue. Many parents are not confident, especially, let me just speak to moms that I really, really work with. Many of you are not, you lack so much confidence. You cannot stand for yourself. You cannot speak for yourself because in the days that we were raised, it's like, no, you don't have a voice. You need to keep quiet. When adults are talking, children keep quiet, but your children, they're not giving that, they're not allowing that. The children are now more vocal. But many of us, because we were raised like that, now we want to, subdue our children to say, you are talking when we're talking, I'm talking, you are talking, you need to keep quiet. Nah. So the mistake many of us are making, and if you're making that mistake, we cannot get the best from our children. So you have to empower yourself now to say, no, yes, I was raised like this. Will that work for me now? It might not serve me now. And what I always say is that, the methods that our parents use are fantastic for the time that we were raised. There was no internet in some, for some of us at that time. It was the resources that they had access to that they were exposed to, and they did fantastic in their own time. Did it serve you? Maybe not now because you have access to information and be able to say, oh, maybe they could have done it better or whatever it is. Irrespective, if you think they could have done better, we're repeating that same trend with our children. We're repeating that same thing that many of us have issues with. Oh, my mommy did not do like this. My parents did not do like this. They were not present. They were not loving. They were not hugging me. They were not having time for me. But that is what we're repeating. The patterns are repeating. Because why? It's because you do not know how to do it differently. And that's why you need to empower yourself and learn how to do it differently. And the way I see, I always tell parents, the way our parents raised us, there's some learnings, there's some things that they've done fantastically well in passing down values. What are we meant to do with it? Adapt it. Not that you copy and paste. Many of you are copying and paste. If you copy and paste what happened in the world that there was no internet and you want to use it to raise your children now, you're going to fail. So what you want to do is, okay, the method, passing down values, passing down, all those learnings that you think helped you at that time is, how do I adapt it to serve me, to support my children in this world that we're in, right? So please, let's not take what our parents did for us and say, oh, it was not good. It served that time. So it's now our responsibility. And that's why, we have what is called generations. So as you're going from one generation to the other, it's for you to pass down. So from one generation to the other, you adapt, you take learnings, you improve on the process, right? The same way we do with our jobs and businesses. You are improving the strategies that you were using for your business even 5 years ago. If we use it now, you're going to fail. I've been running mommy clinic on Instagram over 7 years ago. And I can tell you that the strategies I was using 7 years ago to run my business on, Instagram cannot serve me now. So if I can improve on that, so why are we parents now stuck up to say, oh, this was what my parents used for me, I don't know what else to do? You have to learn. Go and learn. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. Learn how you can adapt and improve on the process, on the learnings that your parents have taught you. So let me make it more practical for you. Those times, those age that the landline, right? The parents, they will lock the landline with some sort of code or something like that you'll be trying to decode. If you remember that time, put it in the chat. Say, remember, let me know that, they will code it, and some children, you'll be trying to decode that, right? Those were the strategies for that time that, okay, this is how I can protect my child, right? And limit my child to external information with the landline. You now know what some of us are doing now. You now buy all these phones. You buy a mobile phone, a smartphone for your child and you are not doing anything and saying, I don't know, this digital world, hey, too much, oh, me, I cannot come and kill myself. Your parents did what they needed to do to protect you, to help you. But what are you doing? Just because you're not willing to be open to learning, to say, oh, how can I empower and protect and educate my children on how to use, this tools. So you give them access to the phone, and at the end of the day, your children are addicted to it. They're having, they're being exposed to different, non-age appropriate content, and you're now worried. Whereas it's your responsibility to say, when I was growing up, my parents did what they needed to do to say, okay, we're locking this phone. Don't use this landline. It's now your responsibility to say, okay, if I'm giving this phone to my child, what do I need to do to protect my child so that at least my child, they have access to the right and age appropriate content, right? Because ignorance is no longer an excuse. The Google is there to help you. There's so many tools that can help you support your children to thrive. And for many of us as well, you are not educating your children. Oh, if you're using this phone, if you're using your tablet, if you're watching TV, if you're watching YouTube, and you see this is not what this is what you should do. You're not educating your children at all on all these things. But you are still relying on the method your own parents did at the time. And they did their own, but you are not improving on your processes. So what I'm saying is that now the mistake of we just relying to say, this was what they did to me. This was how they spoke to me. But now you're not trying to evolve and adapt and learn those learnings to serve you and your family and your children now. So please, we need to not ditch the old learnings, but improve on those learnings, right? Readapt it to fit for purpose for your children in this world, that we're in as well. And the second one is the digital age exposure. Right? We know that the digital world, thank you so much for the ads, keep tapping it, thank you so much. So the digital age exposure is, it's a blessing. So for some of us, we want to now say, okay, because the digital internet is not so good, I would now, I wouldn't allow my children to go on the internet. I wouldn't allow my children to have food. I wouldn't allow my children to do this. The way the internet, because if there's no internet, will I be talking to you now? I wouldn't be able to talk to you. So the internet is also a blessing, right? But we know for everything that is also, that has its own advantages, there would always be a disadvantage to it. So it's your responsibility to identify the gaps, the disadvantages, and to say, how do we navigate this disadvantage to help me support my children to get the best from this digital world, right? Because even if, remember before the COVID times, when that happened, before that time, what people were doing is that, I'm not going to allow my children to go on the internet till they're 18. They now they shocked us. They said, you know what, you are going to learn. You are going to use this internet to do, go to school on the internet. So what happened? Would you stop your children from going to school because you don't want the children to have access to the internet? So it's just the reality of the times that we're in that, avoidance is not the solution, right? Is okay, how do we, identify the gaps, right? And be able to support our children? How do we understand the disadvantages and help our children to overcome, those challenges? So, okay, what are the age appropriate content that I'm meant to expose my children to at what age, right? So it's not that everything is done, you take it, stay step by step in levels, right? So it's not what maybe what you're going to expose your 17-year-old or 15, you now expose your 3 years old to it. So you have to be able to support your children on how to navigate the digital world in age appropriate ways, which we do this so many times on our page as well. So if you're not fully always going, you have free resources on our page to tell you what is age appropriate and what is not age appropriate as well, right? And you can also go to our link in bio. There's so many different resources, paid courses or whatever is there, free tools, everything is there. We're empowering you, and that's what this is about, empowering you to be able to empower your children to raise the best version of your children in the world that we're in. So it's your responsibility to help your children navigate. So, and it's your responsibility to educate your children to know what is right, what do they do, what shouldn't they do, where to press, what shouldn't they press. But what is the issue is that because you are not empowered, because you do not know, you cannot teach them, right? And that leads me to my next point. You cannot give what you do not have. What you do not know, you cannot teach it, right? And that is why you have to keep learning as a parent as well, right? To say, okay, how can I be a better mom to my children? What do I need to learn? What are the tools? Because I always tell parents, you have to be at least a step ahead. Trust me, in the world that we're in, it's so easy to lose children. And when I say lose children, it's not in the physical way, lose children in the sense that when your children are exposed to content that are not age appropriate for them, maybe games that they're not meant to be playing, pornography, sexual content, and not only sexual content, violence, especially for young children. They're watching violent cartoons that they're not meant to be watching. And you now say, oh, my child is too violent. My child is too aggressive. My child is always wanting to climb things here and there and be doing this. Is too overactive. I'm just tired. What are the contents that your child is being exposed to, right? So those are the things you are supposed to be, teaching and guiding your children to say, no, this is not age appropriate. This is not good for you at this age. Like for violence, for content that they have some level of violence, because many of us were always focusing on the sexual content. Oh, I don't want my children to watch something that has kissing or touching in it. But you don't know that violence one that they are shooting. Some of you, let me shake some of you. Some of you, you'll be buying, what's that thing? Is it water gun? Water gun. You'll be saying, oh, it's just water. Yes, it's gun. Oh. But what does gun represent at the end of the day? Right? So it's what children, is what you expose. So when you are seeing your children, behave in certain ways, it's not their fault. It's what you are exposing them to. Yes, you can say, oh, water gun is just water that is inside. It's not bullet. Because at one point it was bullet they were putting. They said, oh no, it can represent something. Now they're helping you put water in it, right? So at an age, for younger children, they might not understand the concept. They're watching movies, people shooting each other, push. And let me tell you a story of what I know really, really happened when we were younger, because some children, with all these water guns and everything. So the child, got access to a real gun, but the child did not know that it was a real gun. Like, okay, it is a gun, right? The child went into, the parents, what's it called, their wardrobe, because the children were playing upstairs. The child was playing with his sister. So he just took the gun and said, see gun. And I was thinking, oh, it's, toy. It was loaded, right? And he shot that. That was when they heard, the parents downstairs that, oh my God, what's happening? He could have just shot the sister just like that, just because the child, and these are kids less than about 6 years old, right? So it's not like water guns is not okay. Yes, maybe for adult children, they already know that, oh, this is what gun represents, right? This is what they're meant to use it for. But for younger children, they might not understand it. So this is what I'm telling you. It's also with, violent cartoons. There's some cartoons that, when your children are in some certain age, maybe they're now 13 or 15 or something, they know that, okay, if they're playing the violent games, they know that it's not something they're meant to live by, right? But if you're exposing your children, your younger children, your 6, your 7, your 3, and you now say your child is aggressive, they're going to be aggressive because that's what they watch. You might think, oh, they're just having fun. And there's so many games on YouTube now that you think, oh, they're just so nice, innocent. But you see them, and you see your children be that, and they're going to give you stress as well at the end of the day. So what I will advise is, before you buy games or you allow your children to watch some cartoons or some content, check the age. They always put it, especially for games, they put the age there. Oh, even some, if you want to download on all this Play Store and all that, they'll put it there, age 7 plus, age 12 plus, age 16 plus. But many times we're not aware. We just say, oh, it's a game, it's nice. So it's your responsibility to understand that all this exists, empower yourself, learn, so that you can be able to support your children be the best of themselves, right? So, and the next point, is, coming back to quickly to, you can't give what you don't have. So we're now not saying, many of you, just because now you think, oh, it's the digital world, I don't want my child to watch this one, you're now living in fear. Let us shut down everything, and you now limit your children's exposure to life, right? Because if you do not allow them access to these things, how are they going to learn how to navigate it at the right time, right? So it's your responsibility. Take out anxiety. Oh my God, this world is so terrible. Oh, what kind of world is this? All these things going on social media, toxicity, is for you to be able to understand what are the age appropriate content. Like some of you, your children, if you have older children, even now we're seeing 7-year-olds, 8 years old, they're on TikTok, they're on Snapchat. That's Snap, send me Snap. Some of you, you're the one that gave these children phone, and trust me, many of them, they will create some funny names that you can never find and never know that your children are on those types of, platforms. And you now know what these platforms they've done. They put it there. Google it. What age is appropriate for my children to even have access to TikTok, Snapchat, all these things, Instagram? They put it there. Is age 13 plus. For some, they'll put it there for you, age 13 plus. And all these apps, they even have that now also protecting you parents, helping you, because they're taking feedback, putting parental guidance on it to say, okay, if you want to allow your children be on this, you can help your child maybe be maybe be some sort of, you are like monitoring them to give them access to it. All these things are there, and it's your responsibility to learn it. So before you give your children access to anything, don't limit it out of fear. No, because it's their world. It's your responsibility to help them and teach them and educate them on how to successfully navigate these things, right? To successfully navigate these tools. I'm saying it age appropriate ways. So always be aware that every tool that you see, they have ages on it. Find it. If it's not telling you age, then because leave it and avoid it, so because you do not know. Or go to Google and say, what is the best age for this? Even some movies, some of you take your oh God, let me also tell you, cut this out. Some of you will take your children to movies that they've put their age 13, age 16, and you take your 3 years old, you take your 6 years old. I don't know, maybe you're being selfish just because you want to watch a movie. I don't understand. But at the end of the day, your child starts to exhibit some behaviors and you're blaming your child, whereas you're the one that exposed your child to it. But I want to believe you do not know, right? But now you're hearing me, you know now. Please educate yourself before you allow your children watch certain content. Please ensure that the content is right for them. Before you allow them use tools, in some social media, research it and understand, the nuances around it. Okay, what is expected? Is this the right age for your children? Don't just say, because I have money, I can buy tablets, I can buy food, I can buy this one. At the end of the day, as you lay your bed, you will lie on it. It comes back. Trust me. It comes back to you, because I work with moms, not only moms with children less than 17 years old. I work with moms that, parents that have older children, adult children. So if you do not do what you're supposed to do now, you'll come back and I will support you at that time. But we don't want to wait till that time. We want to ensure that we're doing the right things now. And finally, be a positive role model. Many of you say, do as I say. The children, the digital age children, they don't understand. I was talking to someone today with a client of mine, and I was saying that the beautiful thing about the digital age children is they don't understand all these, proverbs or way. If you're a Yoruba girl like me, or way, way, please. What is a way? I think, is it proverbs, or what is a way in English? Please, can you help me drop it there, please? What is a way? Away in English? Can somebody tell me when they are saying way? Way, I want to, maybe I don't know. Let me know. So many of us will be using like style. When we were younger, that your parents will say something, put water on my head. They will say, Mommy, where should I put it? Put it on my head. And you respect yourself and you say this, right? Or they're looking at you in a certain way. They are looking at you like that, right? You get the message. Digital age children, many of them will ask you, Mom, why are you looking at me like that? Mom, what's happened? What happened? What's the matter? What did I do, Mommy? They will call you out. Or if they put it on my head, they will put that cup on your head. So the digital age children, right, is the instruction. They follow what you want. Don't use style to teach them, right? What do you want? Call it out. And let me tell you the idea behind that. When you take your phone and you say, hello Siri, do you say, if you're trying to tell Siri to check let's say, today's weather, for example, right? Will you tell Siri that, oh, Siri, what does it look like today? Siri will say, what do you mean? What looks like, what is looking like? Seriously, what do you mean? So when you say, oh, what does the weather look like today? What's the weather for today? Oh, it's 23 degrees, right? That's because the children of today are microwave age children. They're giving, everything is simplified. They did not suffer head like you would think. Before you even get water to drink, you would walk miles, or to get water to take your bath at times, you would get, some, before you even make a call, you would have to walk to the telephone booth. Are they walking to the telephone booth? No, they carry pam, pam, pam. Hello, mama. Hello, mommy. Mommy, they even take your tablet. They are pressing, the younger ones, they're pressing it like this, that, oh, I'm watching this. They don't even know what it means for internet to slow down. And you are now using, so nobody is able to tell me what away is. What is away? You're now using style to say, oh, this is what you should understand what I'm saying. No. Tell them, call it out as it is. Whatever you want your children to do and learn, tell them, this is what I want you to do. This is what I put the cup on the table. Not put the cup on my nose. No, they will put it there, because they are not wired. They are not trained to understand all that. And the more we understand that, if you're trying to raise your children with your own, the way they raised us, that, it cannot work, because their world is different. It's totally, totally different than the world that they are being spoon-fed, like microwave, put it there, your food is ready in 2 minutes. That time you will cook your food. It will take you 30 minutes to cook some food, and you just have to be patient. But in this day and age, so it's your responsibility to now guide your children to learn patience, to learn understanding. They cannot understand unless you teach them to. So what am I saying? Be a role model. Do as I do, not do as I say. And learn from observation. So how do you behave? How do you talk to them? If you don't talk to them in a kind way, they're not going to talk to you in a kind way, right? They might pretend, or they might just do what you want now. But when they're older, they're not going to talk to you in a kind way, because you did not teach them to talk to you in a kind way, because you talk to them in an unkind way. So be a good role model and practice what you preach. And most especially, if you are having any struggle with your children, or there's some things that are not clear to you, ask questions. Many of you, when your children tell you something, you don't listen. but you want them to listen to you. And that's why many children don't listen, that we struggle, because many of my clients, they're always saying, oh, my children are not listening, my teenage children, my younger children, I talk, I shout, I yell, I do this. You're not listening. You want them to always listen to you, but you're not doing the same thing. So when they're also talking, listen and respond. Don't say, do it, this is the way I want it. Take time to understand what they're saying, what they're talking about, and respond to that as well. When they start to see that you are patient enough to listen to them and respond. Do you understand what I'm saying? Respond. Not that they just talked and you just say what you want to say, that whatever. No, respond to what they've said. Then they will start to also learn to respond to what you say as well. They will learn to listen and respond to you. Then ask questions. Ask for clarification. Oh, why did you say that? Why are you behaving like this? Not that you just assume. Many of us, we just make assumptions. Oh, my child is doing like this because of this. Ask questions. And that is where the magic lies many times. I always say, ask questions. When moms come to me and they say, oh, my child is doing this. I'm thinking like this. Did you ask the child? Ask the questions. Many times, asking and your answer might be very unpalatable. You might be shocked with the answers that they give you many times when you're asking for feedback. But trust me, it would help you support your child better. It would help you get the best from your child better, because you've asked for it and they're giving it to you, right? So, but I think many times we don't want to hear the truth. And if you're not willing to hear the truth, that means you're not willing to be the best parent to your children, right? Because when nobody is interested, if you make all the monies of this world, if you're so successful and your children they don't feel valued, they don't feel heard, they don't feel loved by you, then what exactly are you living for? What exactly are you working for? So they can be giving you accolades. You can be the best employee, best business person, best, and be collecting awards here and there. And you ask your children, and they ask your children, and they're saying, oh, my mom or my dad is like this. Oh, she doesn't listen. She's not present. She's not doing this. She's not understanding. I mean, they're the ones that will be there in the future, right? When anything happens to you, who do you fall back? It's your family, it's your children, it's your, that you fall back. But many of us, we cannot rely on these children because they cannot necessarily rely on you. Because you are giving them food, because you are providing for them, does not mean they can rely on you. Are you there? Are you present? Are you listening? And are you responding to these children, right? So those are the 4 points. I think 4 points that I've shared with you. And hopefully you take it and you run with it and you empower yourself as a parent to be able to raise the best version. Like I said, raising the best version of your children. The best version, not another person's child, not a copy of another person or a copy of you. No, remember, you are not your parents. And your child is not you. The circumstances that you were raised is totally different from the circumstances that you are raising your children. The partner you have, the husband or the wife you have, is totally different from the husband or the daddy or the mommy that you had. And your child is totally different from you. But many of us, we want to raise our children like us. No, sorry. It cannot happen. That means you're not raising the best version of your child. You are raising an upgraded version of yourself. So let's understand that. And please, if you need help, because I see a number of moms, they struggle and you are struggling alone, keeping it to yourself. I don't want anybody to do my business. I don't want this, oh God. And you are praying and you are not seeking for help. That's why God has put help in place. Please, if you need help, there's so many resources that you can leverage on, courses here and there to make you a better parent. Please leverage it. The Google is there. There's free, there's paid, anything. But please, if you're struggling, please reach out. I'm always here to support you. I'm just a DM away.